Thank you everybody for joining the Fortinet technical update session this Friday afternoon, just before the weekend. My name is Peter Blaton. Most of you know me already. I'm working for Exclusive Networks now 11 years. And I've always been involved with Fortinet, doing pre-sales, giving trainings, workshops. Usually the technical update is hands-on, but because of the COVID situation, it's very impractical. And Fortinet and also Exclusive Networks, we are launching many fast-track sessions. So if you were thinking, but because we didn't put it in the mail that it was hands-on, and if you were expecting it to be a hands-on session, it is not. But keep an eye open for the word fast-track. If you see that passing by, this is a technical hands-on session. So there are plenty of sessions that we are doing. Now with me in this session, we have Jetse. It's my colleague. He is also a Fortinet trainer, and he will be taking care of part of this presentation. So what is it about today? What is very important, and that is for all of our events that we are hosting, not only for Fortinet, but any event that Exclusive Networks is doing online. We have a smart reward program. It's an incentive, and you can win vouchers and iPhones, AirPods Pro. This is not the voucher is being handed out for a person, of any person after the session. If you win, if you're picked out, and the AirPods Pro and the iPhone, that one can be won after the when the year is over. We will be picking somebody out for these gadgets as well. Okay, so the requirement is that you stay into the sessions until the end. What is on the agenda for today? Jetse will kick off. We will be talking about the CTAP program, okay, Cyber Threat Assessment program. There are different flavors in there. It's not something new, but the flavors that Fortinet has developed, they are. So Jetse will present this to you, how you, where can you get the information, how is it working, etc. And then I'm going to cover FortiCloud. There is actually a lot to say about FortiCloud, so I'm not going to focus on all of the managers and analyzers and EMSs in there, but there is actually also a FortiCloud management module for the FortiGate. Initially, this has been very basic, but Fortinet has been enhancing the capabilities, and for example, MSSP options are also included in there. So I will explain a little bit the difference between FortiCloud management, a standalone manager, and the manager in the cloud, because that is what we see that often is very confusing for partners and customers. So I hope that is going to happen. And then another topic I will be covering is a Forti Demo. I'm going to go into detail there, how to request the demo, how to start it up. Maybe I'll quickly check out here in the chat who is already using it, because anybody basically that is NSE7 certified has access to this platform. Just not many people know it. Okay, so I'll hand it over to Jetse. We will get started with the CTAP part.
I think you need to make me a presenter to share the.
Also need to make you present. Okay, here you go.
Yeah, there we are. Thanks. So there we go. For me also, I would like to extend you a very warm welcome. So Peter Jan already introduced myself. So I'm also a security engineer at Exclusive Networks. This is my first technical update session for Fortinet, so it's a bit exciting. I'm mainly doing pre-sales. I also focus on implementation and configuration of all sorts of Fortinet products, and today I'm going to discuss the technical side of the Cyber Threat Assessment program, the CTAP, which is basically a tool to help you enhance your sales cycle. So typically what we see is, and this is just a small introduction about what CTAP is and where you can use it. typically we see when we are talking between a prospect and reseller that there is a lot of work involved. You need to discuss what the customer needs, maybe a POC in a lab environment, then you need to do the POC at the customer site. You need to review it, you need to test it. Maybe there are some return on investment discussions involved, and then you can make the purchase agreement. With CTAP, CTAP is a tool that has been introduced by Fortinet a few years ago, but now they did an upgrade and made more assessments available for you to use and enhance your sales. And basically what the intention is to reduce your sales cycle with a minimum amount of work. So you can offer your prospects an assessment. If they agree, they will see what a Fortinet product, in this case a FortiGate or FortiMail, can do within the prospect environment. And then you can discuss what has been seen through the report that is generated through the CTAB portal, and you can make an agreement. So it is really a sales tool that saves you a lot of time if the customer agrees to do this, and can also establish a trust relationship between not only the customer and the reseller, but also between the customer and Fortinet as a brand, to protect their network, of course. So yeah, it's really about trust and setting up trust relationship, adding value to the sales process, showing what has been seen on the network that maybe is not picked up by the customer's existing security solution. Now, if we take a look at the CTAB process, the CTAB is also always carried out in 5 steps. So first, you create the assessment through the CTAB portal. We will see it in a few minutes how this is done. Then you need to provision a device. So, for example, if you have created a CTAB for next generation firewalling, then you will get a config file from the CTAB portal or a pre-configured VM file from the CTAB portal. You can upload the config file to an existing hardware device, and then you can add this hardware device in one-arm sniffer mode in the customer's network, or you can provision the VM instance that you got from the CTAB portal, which you can also deploy within the customer's network in a one-arm sniffer setup. Then these devices will collect logs, so they do not block traffic, they only monitor traffic, and they have a look at what has been seen in the network. And after 3 to 7 days, you can adjust it depending on your needs. A report is generated, and in this report, you can then focus on what threats have been seen, what applications do we see, where can we detect, for example, malicious traffic, C2C connections, all that kind of stuff can be detected within the report, and then you can use this to start the discussion with your customer, and yeah, to speed up the sales and close a deal more quickly. If we take a look at how this is done, so you can use a hardware device or you can use a virtual machine. The hardware devices that are supported are these that are shown on the slide. So we have a bunch of devices that are supported. This is also dependent on the amount of traffic that you want to see, that you expect to see within the customer's network. For example, if you have a big site, then you should go for the higher ranges. If you were doing a CTAB for a small customer with only, I don't know, 20 people, then you can already do this with 100G. So it's based on the customer that you can choose your hardware device. if you need a device, you have big customer, you need a bigger device to do the CTAP, you can always contact us, and then we can provide you with demo devices to be used in the CTAP, or you can just use a VM deployment, and then of course, yeah, it's not depending on hardware. You can provision it as you want. What is very important with these hardware devices is that these are licensed. You can use NFR hardware for it, but very important, this must be licensed. If you're using a VM, the VM files that you will get from the CTAP portal are ESXi, so VMware files, so they can only be deployed on VMware without doing some manual changes on the files. You can also do a CTAP for email, and basically what we will do then is we'll not use a device. No, we will just BCC all the email traffic from the client to the CTAP servers, and there they can scan all the emails and yeah, verify whether or not a lot of spam or phishing emails are coming through. So as I said, use the threat protection throughput for proper sizing of the model. Now the implementation, we have 3 types of assessment. We will first take a look at the CTAP for next generation firewalling. And how do you create such a CTAP? Well, you go to the portal. The portal is ctab.fortinet.com. It looks like this, as you see on the screen. There you have 3 tabs. You have the dashboard, where you can manage your CTAP assessments. Then we have the reports, which you can use as a reseller to have a list of assessments, to see which customers you already gave a CTAP for, to see the log usage, for example. And then you have the help tab, where you can find all the assessment guides, but also marketing material, all centralized in one place. From within this dashboard, you create your assessment. It's really simple. Just click on the new assessment button and you're ready to go. You can also see your currently running assessments. For example, this is test assessment that I've created. You can see whether logs are coming in or not. You can download the reports, etc., and you can mark your assessment as completed once it is done. Once you have clicked on the new button, you will see 3 options to choose from. We can set up a CTAP for next generation firewalling, SD1 or email. If you then click on the option of your choice, you will be presented a form which you can fill in with the customer details. You can also put in some information for your own, like phone number. There is also a notes section where you can provide additional information for your own records. All the worksheets with these questions are available on the CTAP. They call it a pre-visit worksheet. It looks like this. You can just hand it over to your customer and they can fill it in, and then it should be no issue to fill this in because you already have the information. Now, how do we deploy these CTAPs? So as you have seen, once we have created the CTAP within the CTAP portal, you can also choose for the deployment method. And the deployment method can be inline or one-arm sniffer. Inline is the method where you will place your FortiGate, for example, between the customer's core switch or between his firewall and the old firewall where all the traffic is flowing through. But from my opinion, this is not a valid option. You should always go for the one-arm sniffer deployment. There, you just create a port mirror on the core switch, which you then will be using to collect all the traffic and collect the logs. After you have created an CTAP assessment, then you will be presented with deployment instructions. This is a picture from one of these deployment instructions, so it's very easy. You already get the configuration. You just load it on the device, and then the deployment instructions will instruct you. This is the port that you need to connect to, for example, the management network. This is the one which you will use for sniffer traffic. So very easy to set up. For logging, we also have two options. So you can do remote logging or local logging. Of course, when you're doing remote logging, you need an internet connection because all the logs are shipped directly to the CTAP servers, which are located in Germany. If you have no internet connection available, then you can also choose to do local logging. And then once the CTAP has been completed, you can download the logs from the FortiGate and upload them to the CTAP portal. Very important, you are doing some log collection, so therefore it's very important to configure the time zone correctly. This is also done within the CTAP portal, so normally your configuration should be okay. You should not make adjustments, but you need to be aware that you need to specify the time zone. Very important. Once you have created the assessment, they will also ask you to accept the privacy confirmation. So there they state that logs are stored in Germany and that the logs will be purged when the CTAP assessment has been completed. You can also, as you see, the logging options depend on the model, so it's very important to keep this in mind. But remote logging is, from my point of view, the most easy way to conduct a CTAP. You can also enable the Forti Sandbox. Then you can only use remote logging as a logging option. And then maybe you can do some upselling for Forti Sandbox, because then the files that have been seen on the network can also be scanned by a Forti Sandbox located in the Forti Cloud. These are some of the configurations that we have reviewed in the past few slides. So you can choose the deployment mode, you can choose the log method, you can enable the Forti Sandbox or not. Maybe a nice one to note is you as a partner, you can already access the CTAP portal with your partner credentials. And there you can set up test assessments, for example, within your own network to practice before doing a real-life CTAP within your customer's network. Here, something about the configuration. So you will get a configuration from the CTAP portal. When you're using hardware, just upload it through the GUI via a restore of the configuration, or when you have set up your CTAP with a virtual machine, you just have to download the binaries from the CTAP portal, and you need to follow the guide, and they will instruct you how you can upload the files to the VMware server and yeah, how to connect it. CTAP for SD1 is not so much focused on the threats, of course, as with the next generation firewalling assessment. No, here they focus on the application that have been seen on the network. They also focus on which links you are using. For example, if they see that a lot of traffic can be set on a direct internet connection, they will make you aware within the report. And then maybe you can do some traffic optimization and yeah, maybe change an MPLS connection for normal internet backup connection. Last one, CTAP for email. So again, this is not done with a physical appliance. You just BCC all the existing email traffic to an email address that you get from the CTAP portal. This can be integrated with G Suite, Office 365. I cannot imagine that it's not possible for other email solutions as well. So if you have a customer who is already using a third-party email solution, which is not G Suite or Office 365, then just contact the CTAP portal. I do not expect problems. And this is something you can always do. Go to mail to ctap@fortinet.com, and you can ask all the questions you want. CTAP for email is just the same, so it also works with logs, as expect from using a physical device, of course. So it also collects logs, and then it will also give you a report. This is some configuration about how you can BCC all the emails within, for example, Office 365. So it's adding a journaling rule. It's not so difficult to configure, and all the instructions are included within the CTAP configuration guide. When you are done with CTAP, do not forget to mark your CTAP as completed. Why? Because the CTAP assessments are bound to a serial number, the serial number of the FortiGate device that you are using. Otherwise, you will not be able to use it for other assessments. If you forget it, they will be marked as completed after 14 days. And yeah, when you mark an assessment as completed, you will get a report. Generating the report takes 22 minutes to 2 hours, and then you can discuss the findings with your customer. I'm not going into detail about the reports, but here you will see all the topics that are included, for example, in the next generation firewall assessment report. What I want to focus on is, of course, here within next generation firewalling, the security topics. So what malware has been seen, which devices are at risk, what about malware, botnets, exploits, maybe suspicious files. If we take a look at the SD1 assessment, then you will see that there is a large focus on applications. So internal versus external traffic, which breakout do they use? Cloud applications, which very essential applications like voice, VoIP, or audio, video applications are seen on the network. And with email, just the same, but then the focus is on, yeah, spam, newsletters, malware that has been identified within the emails. So this is just some recap about how you can set up an assessment. So you can procure your hardware. You can also follow some training tutorials on the CTAP portal. We will see it in a minute. You can practice by clicking on the test icon, and then you are ready to conduct CTAP with a real life customer. So basically what I'm going to do is we have set up a CTAP within our own environment. So I need to reshare my screen so you can see my Firefox window. There we go. So this is how it looks like. This is the CTAP portal. As you can see, we're running a CTAP for next generation firewalling within our Forti office. This is just a demo office located at Exclusive Networks, which you as a partner also can use to demonstrate Fortinet products to your prospects. And here we can see what options we have defined for this CTAP. While this is loading, I will quickly show you the deployment. So basically what we have done is we've created a mirroring port on our Forti switch. There we go. So we created mirroring port. We terminated the mirroring link on our ESXi host. Here you can see it. So FortiGate CTAP is our CTAP VM. It is connected to the CTAP switch, which is very important, set up as a promiscuous mode switch. Otherwise, ESXi will block traffic that is not destined for this device. And then you can also log into the device. So here we are, and this is our CTAP device. You can log in, show to your customers what has been seen on the network, so you can review the threats within FortiView. I don't think we have any threats in the Forti office, but maybe you can review the applications. Of course, when you're doing this in the customer's environment, there will be a lot more traffic that you can show to your customer. Once this is done, so here we have all the settings that we have set for this assessment. You will also see here, once you have created the assessment, you will be able to download the binaries. You will be able to download the documentation to conduct the assessment. Once it is done, just click on logs ready. Yes, and now my CTAP is done here within the Forti office. And yeah, the CTAP portal is now doing the string, generating the report, and after 20 to 2 hours from now, I will get an email saying, hey, here is a report. You can review it with your customer and use it to close a purchase deal, for example. So this was CTAP in a nutshell. If you have questions, just go to the ctab.fortinet.com portal. Here under the help tab, you will find all the resources available for you. So partner overview presentations, also some sample reports for the 3 types of assessments that you can do. You will find a bunch of videos that you can use to prepare yourself to conduct a real-life assessment. And of course, we at Exclusive are also available to help you with conducting your first assessment or with technical questions. So I'm now going to stop sharing my screen. If you have questions, leave them in the chat or send us an email. And then I'm going to hand over the stage back to PJ and FortiCloud.
Okay, thank you, Jetse. I saw in the questions that there was one question about, yeah, do you see enough files in one ARM mode for the Forti sandbox, because a lot of traffic currently is SSL traffic, and I think that is correct. A lot of traffic is SSL encrypted, and in one ARM sniffer mode, we cannot decrypt. Even if you would be able to do that, I would not recommend in a CTAP assessment to do SSL inspection due to the complexity related to certificates, etc., etc. So this is not just something you are going to turn on. Well, a good point. We do not see these files. Good feedback would be, and you don't have to put it in the questions, there's actually a difference between questions and chat. If anybody has already used CTAP, let us know that you used it. And if you didn't use it and didn't know about it and want to use it in the future, just say, well, yes, maybe I'm interested, just for our reference that we know it. If you are not interested, also put it in the chat so we get that feedback. Hopefully you guys have your opinion on it. So moving forward now, the next, actually, today is about all tools of Fortinet, what they are offering to make your life easier. And one of them is FortiGate Cloud. So quickly go and show the screen. Oh, what's happening? Almost there. I need to become presenter again.
There you go.
Okay. Come on. There we go. Yes, pressing all kinds of buttons, and here we go. So, FortiGate Cloud. What is it? Okay. Now, FortiGate Cloud. First of all, how do you get there? So, if you log on to the support portal of Fortinet, it's not only for support anymore. They now call it FortiCloud. Okay, so you basically log on to FortiCloud, and there are FortiCare services in there. You have your asset management in there, and then a bunch of tools for management. And one of them is the FortiCloud management, and that is what we are going to be talking about today. Okay, now what is the difference between FortiCloud management, Forti Manager in the cloud, and a local Forti Manager? Maybe it is a good idea to briefly touch that. Well, it all depends on what use case you have. What use case you have as a customer when you're looking for a product and a solution, or what use case you as a partner have for your customers. And the use cases for the partners can be a little bit broader in a way that maybe that partner wants to be a managed security service provider. Okay, they want to do all of the management of their customers. So we're also going to touch that part. Now, the three different flavors of cloud management, it all depends on the complexity and the size. Usually, the larger your environment, the more devices you have, the complexity will also go up. That you have as a customer. Okay, so in a very small environment and a partner with not many customers, probably you can just get away with doing management from the FortiGate itself. Okay, so that's the first option. But then when you see the amount of FortiGates grow for a single customer or for multiple customers, you need to start thinking about, yeah, how are we going to manage that in a more efficient way? And then you have these three management options. So a full-blown Forti Manager, that's what some of you already know, and that's what is being explained in the NSE5 training course, which I'm also delivering. That is for the larger environments where you have, I would say, starting from 5, but usually from 10 and above devices that needs to be managed. Okay, and these devices, usually there are two different kinds of devices, like the ones in a data center, and then you have all branches, like, for example, a big retail organization. Now, typically, for these kinds of environments, you want to have your dedicated Forti Manager. The discussion is then, is that Forti Manager going to be on-premise, in your own data center, as a VM, physical appliance, or is it going to be hosted in the cloud, in Azure, AWS? Now, it does, from a functionality point of view, that doesn't really matter. But that is a full-blown Forti Manager. Why do you typically need that one? Because that full-blown Forti Manager gives you all of the capabilities that that platform has to offer, including, of course, administrative domains. And that is very interesting, especially in these larger environments. And of course, you also have full manageability and control over your virtual machine. Now, for deployments that are a little bit smaller or less complex, where you don't need a VPN management or complex SD1 setups, all of these things, you could get away with just a Forti Manager in the cloud, and that is this option. So this is actually the exact same operating system as your Forti Manager, but it is fully hosted by Fortinet. And the main difference here is that there are no administrative domains. So that is something you have to keep in mind. And the only thing you need to buy, the thing you need to purchase, is a specific contract per device to be able to add it into your Forti Manager in the cloud. Okay. Now, the third option, that is the FortiGate management, what we are going to be talking about today in the cloud, and that is when you click here. So if you go there, you're basically saying, well, I want to do management of a single FortiGate for all, and single FortiGates maybe of all of your customers if you're an MSSP, or you're a customer with many FortiGates, but not a too complex setup. So you perfectly can do it like this. Maybe quickly pointing out, so what do you need for that? Now, the first thing you will need is you need to have a FortiCloud Premium on your FortiCloud account. So that is a specific subscription. And if you also want to be multi-tenancy, if you want to be able to organize your FortiGate devices in different groups and give access to your own customers, to their little portion, to their devices, then you also need to have the multi-tenancy license. So that is what you need to get started. And then on a per device level, you will also need a specific key, which is going to give you FortiCloud management. I think I have this one in here. So there we go. So I check the device in asset management, and we can see this FortiCloud service. That is something you have to activate on your device, and it's again a single subscription per device. It does not come into API. So once you have that, you will be able to start managing your devices in the Fortinet. So how do you go about that? The first thing is to decide, well, do I want to have zero-touch provisioning? Yes or no? And what is zero-touch provisioning? That means that you are going to ship a device to your customer, and once the customer is going to ship it to an offshore site, whatever, and rack and stack is very easy at that moment. The only thing you need to do is take your device on the smaller end devices, and again, FortiCloud, it makes more sense for the smaller end devices. So you have this like your one port. Once you connect that to the internet, automatically, if the system has never booted or is not configured, it will reach out to FortiCloud. Okay, it will do that anyway. And if you have decided to actually start managing your devices, so you first have to include it in the inventory. You have to make sure, well, I have a FortiGate inventory, and I'm going to say, well, I select it. You say, I'm going to deploy to FortiGate Cloud. From that moment, these devices will be FortiGate Cloud deployed. If you want to have zero-touch provisioning, the first thing the question that will be asked then is, well, if this device connects to FortiGate Cloud, do you want to enable, do you want to push a configuration template? So what is that? If you say yes, you will be able to automatically push a template. Now, a configuration template has two parts. It has the OS version that you are selecting, so the firmware version, and then the whole configuration. So let's say that here we have created a template for a 60F device. So for the 60F platform, obviously, for firmware 6.4. Now, out of the box, and that's the whole idea, out of the box, we want to take a device, plug it in, and needs to go to the cloud, gets its configuration. Now, we all know that if we push a configuration for 6.4 on 6.2, it is not going to work. So the question I will be asked then is, well, if FortiCloud sees that your device is not yet updated, do you want us to do that automatically? If you select yes, there is zero-touch provisioning even for these devices that are not on the proper firmware release yet. So first there will be an upgrade of the firmware, and then the configuration will be pushed. Now, how does that look like, this configuration or this template that we can push? So quickly zoom into that. Now here you can already see we have created this template, and yeah, for the sake of like this online demo, I'm not going to reset a device and add it in there. Just believe me, it is going to do it and apply it automatically. We see here that it's currently applied to this device, and that was using zero-touch deployment. I just got it out of the box, plugged it in, and that was it. If we look at the configuration of this template, we actually see here, okay, information about the OS versions, and then all of the configuration items that we can configure. Now, I see you guys wondering already, it's like, okay, but yeah, we do not want to create a template dedicated per device, because every branch side, the policies might be the same, but then yeah, interface IP addresses, probably they have different ranges. So how did we go about that? Well, in FortiGate Cloud, it is also supported to have device-specific settings. So let's go and zoom in on that quickly, just for the network interfaces, because that's the first example you will. So here we see, if we want to configure the network interfaces, if you want to configure the internal interface, for example, by default, we see 192.168.199/24. Okay, that's out of the box, and the HCP server is enabled and everything. But probably that is not an IP range you want. So you configure it differently here, but then it's like, oh, hey, I want to have this specifically configured on a per device level. And how do we identify these devices? Guess what? Based on the serial number. Okay, so The only thing you have to do is know which serial number you're shipping to what site, and then have it correspond with the IP ranges that you want to apply to it. And this can be then translated into this configuration. It means if we push this template and the serial number equals this one, we are going to apply this IP and network configuration, okay, and not the default one. If it doesn't equal, of course, we're going to push the default configuration. There is also the possibility to upload a configuration file, okay, and the configuration file, that's basically a CSV file, and you can have all of this prepped in a CSV file and then upload it to your FortiCloud management. So in a way, we get this like dynamic configuration, these dynamic configuration possibilities that you also know in the Fortinet. So if you do not need more than that, and you do not have like complex VPN configurations and all of that stuff, and if the most important part is the first provisioning of a config, and then afterwards there's only going to be small changes, nothing too complex, well, FortiCloud management can be the proper solution for you. Okay, it's very easy, as you can see the interface. It doesn't have all of these complexities of the full-blown FortiManager, which you won't need if the organization doesn't require these features. I'm going to cancel that. Of course, once your devices are deployed, and you do not need to do zero-touch deployment, it's not a requirement. Once all of your devices are deployed, you can still choose to apply templates or reapply templates, so to change configuration. You can create scripts. Like, for example, here's like a script I made to just get system status. And you are able to actually go to the network overview, see all of your managed devices, and we see, okay, we have a few managed devices, and say, well, okay, I want to have this one, and I'm going to run a script. You can select one device, you can select a group of devices. It's all up to you. So you could say, well, I want to make a change for all of my customers for a specific IPS signature or a certain firewall policy we know that has been created, or routes need to be added for a certain customer on a bunch of devices. Just create a script and push it out to a bunch of devices. It's very easy. Okay. Just say, and you can even schedule when that script needs to be. So at this moment, we are pushing this this request to the device, and we're just waiting for the execution status. We're waiting now. It's already succeeded. What the result was. Okay, so in this case, we just requested the information of the device. Of course, this can also be used to make changes on the device. We can actually go check the logs, and here we go. So that is exactly what you would see if you run the script locally on the device. Other things that you can do, well, maybe you say, I don't want to make local changes to the config, or through this interface, I just want to log on to the device and do stuff from there, like running troubleshooting commands and just saying something. You can click this little screen and say, well, I want to have remote access to the FortiGate. You have to specify the GUI port, and you will be able to get management access to the device. Now, interestingly here is that the way it is working, the FortiGate is connecting outbound through any netting device to the FortiCloud. And you are, as a user from wherever, connected. So as me now from home, I'm connected to FortiCloud as well as an admin. So the FortiCloud is going to become a proxy between me and the real device. So that is why you will never be, in this case, you're not connecting directly to the IP or the FQDN of your FortiGate, but FortiCloud is right in the middle there. So I'm logging on now. And what we are seeing now is exactly what you are used to see. This is the interface. Just doing that later. You just see the interface of your device. It's exactly the same. See the dashboard, firmware versions. You can apply actions, do CLI console connections. request information, etc. Okay, so again, I think this is really ideal for the partner MSSP that, yeah, once we have a single pane of glass management for small customers where a FortiManager would be overkill, and yeah, also the same on a FortiAnalyzer level, because FortiGate Cloud is not only giving you management possibilities, but it gives you also the possibilities to send logs, create reports, and all of that stuff. So the log retention in FortiCloud management module is for 1 year. Okay. So I don't know. I'm quickly going to look at. Are there any questions on this? No, no question. I'm not seeing any questions.
No questions in the chat.
So it's definitely worth looking for it. It's not too expensive. For the smaller devices, it's really easy to enable, and then you can start managing your devices. Good. Maybe a last thing I forgot to mention on zero-touch deployment. We've covered this with FortiCloud. Of course, zero-touch deployment is also possible with your FortiManager. Now, the way that the FortiGate initially is going to find your FortiManager is exactly the same as how it is working with FortiCloud. Okay. The only difference there is that in the inventory, you're basically going to select your device and you're going to say, well, this device is FortiManager deployed. Okay. And in the settings of your device, you cannot see it right now. You basically you just configure the IP address of your own FortiManager, and then the device will be forwarded once it shows. Okay. Okay, so no questions. Next thing I want to cover is Forti Demo. I don't know who already heard of Forti Demo, but again, it's a tool from Fortinet, and you can get access to it through the Fortinet development program. fndn.fortinet.net. Go. Ooh. Quickly logging on. I need my credentials. Okay. Wait a second. Yeah, I was logged on, but I had an issue with some credentials, so I needed to log out. Copy password. Sorry, guys.
Pieter-Jan, you can always use my account if you want. If you don't get it, then I can share my screen and I can give you remote control, and then you can do the demo on my account.
Yeah, I got it. I got it. Thanks, Jitse.
Yeah,
I have it here, so it's no problem. So yeah, it was a browser thing probably. So how do you get access to the Fortinet development network? You need, I don't know, if you don't have it, you can ask us, and then we need 2 people from Fortinet to vouch for you. I will contact them. I will tell you who to actually, you need to enter 2 email addresses, and these people then will be contacted in order to grant you access to the program. Okay. You need to be minimum NSE4 to be able to access the Fortinet Developer Network. Now, in order to be able to have access to the Forti Demo portal, you need to be NSE7. So for all of you who are NSE7, go and log on and check if you have this possibility. Okay. If you don't have access, as an NSE7 certified engineer, let me know, and I will check with Fortinet that you also get access to this tab. So what is the whole idea? This is a full-blown virtual environment. Okay, so Fortinet Developer Network is going to give you an environment with a bunch of firewalls, an EMS server, a manager, an analyzer, basically anything you need to show off the whole security fabric. Okay, so it is really, really extensive. I'll show in a second. Let me quickly go. I'll show you the whole topology. I'm going to do it differently. Just going to share the whole screen there. There we go. So once you have, because I already started a demo environment, it takes like 10 minutes, so I didn't really have time to wait for it. But once you have started, you will get an email, okay? Your demo has started. There's some information in here, and then you have all of the details of the specific devices and how you are going to be able to log on to them. Okay, so that is really, really an interesting resource. Also, well, what you have on the here below is different product demos. Now these are all movies, so I'm not going to start them up, but you have like different demos on 6.4, how to show the security fabric, how to give a Forti Analyzer SOAR demo, Forti Client, stuff more focused on SD1, the security fabric, zero trust, all of these things. Okay, and it is all in there. They give you the explanation on how a feature works, on what devices, what things are installed, pre-configured, and what objects you can reuse in order to give your own demo on their environment. Now the demo topology is looking like this. Okay, it's loading. So we have, as you can see, a tremendous amount of devices. The first thing maybe you want to showcase is a security fabric with FortiGates. Now it's very easy. We have a core FortiGate here. That's the core FortiGate. We have 2 different branches. Now, this use case alone gives you the possibility to show SD1 between hub and spoke devices, including auto discovery VPN. Now then we have also also other devices where different clients kinds of clients are connected behind. And again, you will get all visibility in the security fabric. On the left-hand side, you have the Forti Manager, the Forti Analyzer, the Enterprise Management Server, etc. I'll quickly zoom in, go and show you how the interface looks like. So it's very easy. You get your credentials. Actually, then you could actually use my credentials to log on to them, to play around. I don't really mind. The first thing to go to is the Enterprise Core. Give it some time. Needs a lot of time. Come on. Usually it doesn't take that long. See what happens if I open it in Chrome. Wait a second. Ah, yeah, I know what I did. That was the link from yesterday. Sorry, guys. Here we go. That's from that's from today. So yeah, what happens if you launch a Forti demo? You get some options to select what use cases you want to showcase. Now, that doesn't really matter too much what you are choosing there, but it will also tell you, well, do you want to run the demo for 4 hours, 8 hours, or 24 hours? So anyway, after 24 hours, the whole environment is being destroyed. Okay, that also means that if you decide to make local changes and you want to keep them, the thing you have to do is you just go here and you download the configuration. As you can see, currently now we are logged on the core FortiGate. And if you want to see and showcase a security fabric, you're able to do that. So you just go to physical topology and you will see all of the devices in there and the whole security fabric configuration, including these different sites, the branches, the clients connected behind them. And I think, yeah, not many partners have their own lab. And if partners have their own lab to do demos, very often there are no traffic generators in there. You have not many clients or devices to show. So here you can really see, okay, behind the enterprise first floor, we have 28 devices connected, okay? And one of these devices is Tami, and she's actually infected. We can see that. If we zoom in there, we see, okay, there is a bunch of vulnerabilities and all of that stuff. If you then want to go into the details on, hey, how is this configured and how is the management being done for the Forti client, no problem. You just go to the link of the Forti EMS. Let me see. EMS server, there we go. Quickly copy the password already. And you can zoom into that. Yeah, this is a bad sign. It's my MacBook freaking out. So in between a little poll, who has already used this Forti demo and who is NSE 7? Nobody. And if you are not NSE 7, you should actually go and check with your engineers, because if one of your engineers is NSE 7 certified, he will have access to this environment, and you can use, you can ask him to spin up stuff and or her, so you can demonstrate. The only thing you need is access to, you need that email. Okay, there we go. Incredible. So yeah, it's Safari that is freaking out.
Jan, we have a question to show the topology once more, so maybe you can go over it again after the EMS.
Yeah, no problem. Let's see the credentials in here. Alrighty, so quickly. Yeah, I'll show the topology in a second, guys, because let me see. I think I've downloaded it, so I'll quickly go to downloads. There we go. It's easier. Here we go. So what I will do, you can download this document as well. So that's the Forti Demo release notes. There are two different versions, 6.2, 6.4. And here is explained what products are in here and which firmware versions are installed. So usually there is like a latest build, and there is also a chat. There is also a portal where you can discuss these things. So if you have an issue, you can ask questions. That can be resolved. Now the topology is also in there. So my browser is freaking out. Sorry for that. So maybe this is like a better view. So we have our core enterprise firewall. We have the different branches connected there. We even have a FortiNAC installed, clients. There are switches. We have simulated an MPLS network. We've simulated a normal ISP. So we have two ISPs and one MPLS connection. So that is ideal for SD1 use cases. There are AWS instances. So there is also the integration from your FortiGate with then these dynamic objects in the cloud. There are different servers with critical services running on there. Again, there are plenty of use cases that are already explained for you, so please go through them and reuse them. And if a use case is not 100% to your likings, you can change the configuration. This whole environment is for you. Just know that after 24 hours, it's going to be destroyed. So if you want to keep something or reuse it afterwards, you will have to reconfigure the stuff or return the backup. We have the analyzer, the manager, the EMS for the email. But again, I'll send it to everybody. This is really an interesting document. And when you have access to the Fortinet development portal, and the one-click demo, all of these resources are there. Okay. I think the thing that actually broke it was loading the EMS console. So again, that is what we are seeing here. Now, another thing which is really interesting and that is configured is the SAML authentication. Okay, so the FortiGate root is SAML IDP, and all of the other FortiGate devices and even security fabric devices that want to authenticate are connected to that one. Come on. So that means if you're on the fabric root, you are able to move to any of these devices. And I'll quickly do that. I'll go to branch office 1. You get some details here on the right-hand side. You can then decide to just log on to it. It's going to there, and you can choose, well, I want to log on using single sign. There we go, automatically logged on. Okay, so very easy. Same is for the analyzer. Same is for the Forti manager. So if you want to go to for the analyzer, that's it. Just go to the Forti analyzer, all out of the GUI. So these are great demos. These are typically things that are these are a little bit harder to set up because certificates have to be okay and all of that stuff. But in a Forti demo, out of the box, all of that stuff is working. All these great integrations are being done for you. Also here, if you're going to see security fabric, fabric connectors, they're all pre-configured for you. You can use the sandbox as well, FortiNAC tags, all depending on what you want to showcase for the customer. So I'm quickly going to show you this AD VPN configuration and SD1. So if you go and look at this, if we go and look at the network here, we see there is like a bunch of routes, okay, and we have multiple tunnels. So in this case, there is a tunnel from the branch offices to the headquarters. Now, the way this is configured is that when branch office 1 is going to communicate with branch office 2, it is going to create a direct tunnel. How do the branches know what networks are reachable behind what site? this is all being configured in here using iBGP. So again, if you want to show these things like BGP configurations, it is all pre-configured in there for you guys. I'm quickly going to go and do a ping. So this is the branch, this is a network 10.1.0.1. If I'm going to communicate with branch 2, we see something interesting happening here. As you can see, the first ping, we had a TTL of 254. It means it is actually going to go over the hub towards the second branch. Auto discovery VPN kicks in, meaning that if two branches communicate with each other over the hub, they will negotiate a dedicated tunnel between themselves. And that is what you see with this simple ping happening here. So we see that the TTL is changing from 254 to 255. Okay. But this is not an SD1 demonstration. I just wanted to show you guys that Fortinet has built this whole security fabric with all of these devices, all pre-configured with superb guides and movies on the Fortinet development network. So there is really no reason why you as an organization, as a partner, should not be able to give a demo. Okay, even if you don't have your own equipment, you can use this infrastructure. The only requirement for you guys is to be NSE 7 certified. So I don't know, maybe some feedback here. Who knew about this Forti Demo portal and who already used it and is maybe not using it anymore? And then if that's the case, why is that? Because I really think it's a very powerful tool set. It's free of charge. It doesn't cost you anything. No questions? One question.
People are a bit shy today.
Yeah, seems to be. I would say, well, if there is no question or request to show anything, so if you say, well, yeah, I like the Fortinet one-click demo, but is this in there or isn't that in there? Just you can let me know now and I show it, or we just call it a day. And if you have any questions, yeah, in the coming days or weeks about this, just again, let me know.
There is a question about showing the zero trust networking agents.
Yeah, Andreas, are you talking about the 7.0 features? Because yeah, there is, so the features are in there, but on 6.4, so that is limited. I'll quickly go to the right. Yeah, so 7.0 is not yet in there. I'll make an inquiry in when that is going to be, but currently the OS is in beta. So I assume once it's being released, we actually show you guys. I don't know who knows ZTNA, Zero Trust Network Access, but the whole idea is that clients on different levels in the security fabric are going to be identified, going to be profiled, and that profile is basically going to say, well, basically the whole security fabric is going to say, if you are not profiled, I am not going to trust you, okay? And you get no access or very limited access to the resources in the organization. And then depending on the organization type, a small organization or a very large enterprise with no branches or multiple branches, these are all different kinds of organizations. Fortinet has different solutions that you can configure in order to achieve that zero trust network access. Now, one of the main components in that whole setup is going to be the FortiClient endpoint management server. Okay, the EMS server. So the FortiClient in that case is going to be responsible for setting up the tunnels to our core network if we are not behind the parameter. And if we are behind the parameter, or if the VPN tunnels are connected, using tags, we will be able to define how we are going to be getting access to the environment. Okay, for example, tags are, well, are we a corporate endpoint? Okay, so how does it look? How do we decide that? Corporate endpoint means, well, FortiCloud is installed and it's managed with EMM, Enterprise Management Server. But there could also be other rules that you are actually going to configure. You could say, well, we consider a device as corporate when it is also in Active Directory, or there need to be certain files or registry keys or certificates installed. So that could all be requirements. If the requirement is met, the tag is going to be given. Okay. So it's actually an interesting question. Now, how does this translate towards the perimeter firewall, the FortiGate? Well, the FortiGate is going to be interpreted these tags, and it's basically going to create dynamic address objects. So if we go and look to policies and objects, you look at the addresses. So the question, well, ZTNA, can we show it? Well, yes, in the current form in 6.4, but not in where the actual name has been founded for in 7.0. Not yet. Here we see all of these tags, and we can reuse them in a FortiGate configuration. What's the limit? I'm going to unmute you, and Andreas, I'm not sure you're asking. If you have another question, I think you can enable your microphone and just ask. Okay, he's not there anymore. Any other questions? No. Yeah, I think you're right. It is really great. So I've been asking Fortinet if they have statistics on who is using it. I don't think many people know that it exists and they are not using it. I don't know why. It's easy to forget, but it's all pre-configured. It is there. There is. I didn't even. I forgot to show the Forti Analyzer. Just go to the Forti Analyzer. There is all data in there. We have incidents that are happening all of the time. We have compromised hosts. All stuff is happening. So if the use case that you want to show your customers is not there, you just go in there, click it. That's how I do it. So access to Forti Demo, is it personal? Yeah, it is personal. So if the engineer needs to be NSE7 certified, only then you get access to the Click One demo portal in Forti, in the FNDN portal. So it is a personal access. You could, of course, choose to, if you know an NSE7 and he's generating the portal for you and you use it as a demo, that could be like a little workaround. That could be a possibility. But I think if you want to be able to demo these kinds of things and as you can see, there are a lot of components in there. If you want to be able to answer all of the questions to your customers, how is the EMS integration working? How is the Forti Sandbox configuration? How is that working? So probably it is a good idea to be NSE7 because otherwise, yeah, your demos might not be as good towards the goal you want to achieve. That was good. We managed to have a few questions. So we'll wait a few more minutes, and if there is no other question, you can leave. And I would say have a great weekend.